Hello, it is the 11th of March, and as all of you probably know, it's the National Worship of Tools Day. That's right. And when I first read that, I thought, uh, oh, how silly. And no, no. If anything is deserved of worship, it is tools. When they talk about in anthropology and things like that, they say primitive tools, or when crows or other animals uh, pick up sticks and open up oysters with them and stuff like that. Uh, that's a sign, not only a sign of intelligence, but by uh, inference is suggestive of self-awareness and a soul, if you will. So tools are extremely important. And constants, I don't know if you can see out there, right around there, we've got a tool shed. Constance is the tool person around here, and she has her favorite tools, mostly sort of antique kind of primitive tools, and she takes really good care of them. Uh, so, but there's tools in magic too. As a matter of fact, they are the first uh, essence of the magician's work. And I've been working on my new tarot book, which of course deals with the tarot suits, wands, cups, swords, and discs, which are the primary magical weapons of the magician. Uh, so I thought we would show respect to that. I've written a little something about that I'd like to share with you this morning, keeping with the theme of the holiday. So here we go. Now, there is our humble rendering of the Magus card, the Magician card from the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. Okay, it's got all sorts of magic stuff on. That's the back of the each card, and you'll notice this is the Enochian themed back. That's the Holy Table of Enochian magic. And there are two versions of the Tablet of Union on it too, because, well, technically speaking, there's two versions of Ex Harp Hacem Ananta Batum on the Grand Cross that separates the Great Table. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. Right here at the bottom, we have the great seals of the four tablets that would later be identified as the elemental tablets. There's for fire, there's for water, there's for air, and there's for earth. And that would be wands, cups, swords, discs too. So, but let's take a look at this. Now, instead of a disc on his table there, we've got the Stele of Revealing. But we've also got the disc off of his table surrounding him as the A disc with the Star of Babylon on it too. So, okay. The tarot card, the Magician, represents, among myriad other things, the planet Mercury. The Roman god Mercury, the Greek god Hermes, and Thoth, the Egyptian god of magic. The classic image on the card shows a magician holding a wand high above his head with his right hand while he points downwards with his left hand. Before him is an altar or table upon which rest the four primary weapons of the magician. A disc, well, let's say that's that, representing the element earth, the material plane, the body, etc. The sword, representing the element air, the world of ideas, the mind, imagination. A cup, representing the element water, the world of the soul, intuition, the heart and emotions, etc. And a lance. Well, in this case, that's his lance. Or a wand, representing the element fire, the world of pure will, the universal life force of the cosmos. That stick and that plate and that coffee mug and that knife are only metaphors of metaphors of metaphors of what the weapons really are. The magician's weapons really are the material body, the mind, the ideas, the imagination, your soul intuition, that which is beyond time and space, that like mother's intuition when she knows the children are in danger. It has nothing to do with the brain even. It has everything to do with that part of the mother that is beyond space and time. And then we've got the pure will itself, that which you have, that which you are the embodiment of the universal purpose, if we want to put it that way. Those are the weapons. Those are the magical weapons. And sticks and things like that only serve as outward representations of those true magical weapons. Magical weapons don't come ready-made. They have to be homemade or obtained in a very personal and special manner. The classic traditional books of magic go to great lengths detailing precisely how to fashion each of these magical tools. And I've known quite a few magicians over the years who did a pretty good job following these ancient recipes and have made absolutely beautiful magical tools. I'm a pretty lazy guy, and I'm not at all handy. So I figure that just by doing the best I can is, well, the best I can do. My homemade magical weapons have served me well over the years. And as far as I'm concerned, they contain as much or more magical virtue than if they were actually Parsifal's lance or the Holy Grail or Excalibur or the plate that Jesus used to pass around canopies at the Last Supper. Or the cup could be the charger John the Baptist's head was in even. I've seen pictures. Lazy or not, we should all take the greatest magical interest in what our magical weapons are and how we go about bringing them into our lives. These simple objects represent all aspects of consciousness and being. And by that, I mean your consciousness and the consciousness of the entire cosmos, organized into four broad categories. The Kabbalists identified each of these four groupings with a letter from one of the principal names of God found in the Old Testament. And the English, rendering of those four letters would be Yod, He, Vav, He. Commonly pronounced, against all the rules, Jehovah. And you know how it's written from, right to left. But anyway, I'm not going to delve deeply into matters Kabbalistic, but I do want you to remember that according to tradition, these four broad categories include the magician's will, the wand, that's the Yod in Yod He Vav He. Okay. The magician's heart, He. The magician's mind, Vav. And the magician's body, the final He. And that these tools or weapons of the magician represent these aspects of the magician's own being. They're solid, tangible, objective articles, objects that you can touch, pick up, wave about, even taste. But they represent intangible, but very real, inward subjective forces, powers, and principles. Things most people can't identify, let alone touch with their hands and fingers. Aleister Crowley succinctly described the functions of the magician's four weapons in Liber B, Vel Magi. With the wand, createth he. With the cup, preserveth he. With the dagger, destroyeth he. And with the coin, redeemeth he. According to Kabbalistic tradition, humans are made in the image of deity. Therefore, the human soul is a miniature or microscopic reflection of the divine macrocosmic world. Both the microcosm and the macrocosm are divided into four categories. The four macrocosmic worlds are reflected as four the four macrocosmic worlds are reflected in us as the four microscopic parts of our soul. The concepts of these magical worlds and parts of the soul are neatly wrapped up into four little bundles and turned into actual objects that are the four weapons of the magician. Yod, in the macrocosm, Yod is Godhead itself. In the microcosm, Yod is the essence of the universal life force within each of us. Yod's magical weapon is the wand. And here we see all the other, there's the spirit of fire, master square of the Enochian system. That's the great Enochian seal of fire. There's spirit of fire Tattva symbol. And there is the entire elemental tablet of fire. He, where's He? He in the macrocosm, He is the archangelic world of titanic fundamental forces of nature. In the microcosm, He is the transcendent soul intuition within each of us. And He's magical weapon is the cup, with its associated goodies. Okay. Vav, in the macrocosm, is the angelic world. Remember, cups is the archangelic world. But angels work for specific archangels, one level down in the pecking order. So Vav in the macrocosm is the angelic world of specific mechanical operations in nature. In the microcosm, Vav is our intellectual and reasoning processes. Vav's magical weapon is the sword or dagger. Let me digress for a second. The idea of a magician whipping up a demon into a triangle and ordering it about and brandishing. You always picture the magician brandishing his or her sword against the evil dragons of the shadow side or whatever. You know, you're always, it's sword and sorcery, okay? Think about it, okay? Is it really your intellect that's fighting these negative spirits, these scary things, these monsters? Is it really your intellect? Think about it. Would a grown man be doing this? You're going to explain this to the people at the coffee shop and have them understand it with their intellect? No. It's your will. It's your will that you're using to battle these things. Use the wand for something else or when you really do have to threaten something, but it's the magician's will that is the magical weapon to handle a situation like that. At least that's my humble opinion and my digression. Okay, the hay final, or the final hay. There is no hay final. It's the final hay. In the macrocosm, the final hay is the material universe itself, matter and energy as manifested in the time-space dimension we perceive as reality. In the microcosm, the final hay includes our physical bodies. The final hay's magical weapon is the disc. And when you begin your magical operation and your magical identity, that's probably where you should be starting. Okay. The disc, being the lowest rung on the ladder of consciousness, is the first weapon the magician must make. It represents the magician's basic understanding of his or her immediate environment. The disc is a picture of the magician's home. It is the position, the place the magician first pretends to be at the beginning of the waking up process. It is the firm foundation upon which we must stand to direct the forces of nature. Just as your magical motto expresses who you are pretending to be, the disc expresses where you are pretending to be and where you are intending to go. The disc is your map, and it's a map that you must draw yourself. I'm going to pause for a second. I know it's late into the thing, but I'm going to check my sound levels. And it appears that my sound levels are up. So it's a map that you've got to draw yourself. And to start, you first have to ask yourself, where do I think I am? Now that's my disc. Okay, that's my personal disc that I designed many years ago. It's not very, it's pretty bonehead Kabbalah, the four trees of life, all emanating from a single kether at the top. Okay, got some infinities around the side there. We've got Nuit and Hadit. But inside, in that 11-sided figure, is Rahur Kuwait. And you notice that the Rahur Kuwait part in that white section is surrounded by blackness, as if there is quite an abyss between the Nuit and the Hadit. Okay, so those two infinities, Nuit's infinite out and Hadit's infinite in, actually form the field of operation. The friction of their lovemaking creates a vibration that creates a field of operation for a universe to manifest. And that universe manifesting is inside the white section there, and then will eventually emanate out from a singularity point into the four Cabalistic worlds and the four parts of the soul. That's my disc. Okay, let's see. To start, you first have to ask yourself, where do I think I am? I'm sorry to say, but it's impossible for you to know exactly where you are in the universe. Think about it. You're sitting somewhere. You probably don't even know precisely which way is east. And what is east anyway? You're not exactly standing still. You're clinging to the surface of a sphere that is spinning over 1,000 miles an hour. All the while, you're being hurled in an unthinkable and variable speed around a star 93 million miles away, which is dragging you and me and the entire solar system around some inscrutable center of our galaxy. Add to the fact that the entire cosmos is expanding at an enormous speed away from an incomprehensible pre-existent singularity. Know where you are? Fat chance. You have absolutely no idea where you are in the universe. Can you really expect to know where your pretend self is positioned in the cosmos? The answer is simple. No, you can't. But you have to start somewhere. And to do that, you have to first pretend you know where you are. This is why neophytes of the mysteries learn and regularly practice meditations and ceremonies like the ritual of the pentagram and hexagram that require us to presume that we are set in a place somewhere in the cosmos. You see that cross? That forms our pretend north, south, east, and west. We're pretending we know where we are, okay? The pentagram rituals oblige us to move about as if we're positioned on the surface of a flat earth, in the center of a circle demarcated by four directions, north, south, east, and west. And even look at that, the Enochian Great Seal of Earth is even suggesting that. The pentagram rituals require the magician to become master of the local terrestrial or microcosmic environment. The hexagram rituals, on the other hand, work in the bigger world of the macrocosm and force the magician to expand his or her consciousness to encompass a larger universe. Literally, placing the magician as the sun surrounded by the belt of the zodiac. Both points of view are, of course, woefully inaccurate because, but because you have to start somewhere, you put your pretend self in a pretend location. And that pretend location is your first magical tool. Now, I haven't traveled since the pandemic. I haven't traveled very much at all, not overseas at all. But I do magic when I travel, and I stay in hotel rooms, and they're always comfortable hotel rooms, and I enjoy the monastic experience of traveling. It helps when I have loving and supportive people to drive me around and babysit me because believe me, I need a lot of looking after. But most of my time is spent alone, and I cherish that time. And I do magic. I do meditation. I treat myself as a traveling monk when I travel. Except I eat wonderfully. Okay. But I don't travel with magic weapons. Can you imagine me putting a dagger on the plane? Well, I can pack it, most anything, but I like to pack as light as possible. Do you know what my magical tools are? What my magical weapons are? The tarot cards. My tarot deck. The wands, cups, swords, and discs are right there. Not only that, but it is a Cabalistic toolbox, chock full of weapons, of tools. I cast my magical circle with the tarot cards. I calculate, if you will, the time and date of the places that I'm in. When I travel in foreign countries, I try the best I can to locate the gods and the spirits, sometimes even the Enochian parts of the earth and the spirits that at least were ruling those quadrants in 1583, and make contact with them to introduce myself. I do magic, I banish, I invoke with all my magical tools. Now, if you've read my accounts of my consecration of the deck, you'll know that I purposefully did the very best I could to actually charge this deck and every other deck that bears its images. But I don't need to carry a stick around. I don't need to carry a sword around. And the disc, I tell you, it's all in my tarot deck. But a swizzle stick can be your wand, or a cocktail glass, or the glass you put your toothbrush in, and a plastic knife can be your sword. A packet of salt can be your disc. Those magical weapons are more real than any expensive thing that you could buy and treasure and hold. Anyway, that's my today's talk on a day that's literally called Worship of Tools Day. And anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Go play with your magical tools. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.